Pew, and we are live. Nice, nice. This is the first
Perfect.
time I'm using Riverside. So,
Yeah.
what's up, Kuba?
Hey. No, I'm great. I just had an amazing day at work, so yeah, perfect.
All right, let me make the boring talk, initial talk. Here today I am with Kuba. Kuba is my friend from Politehnica Wrocławska, Wrocław University of Science and Technology. Hey mom, if you are watching, or hey friends from Politehnica Wrocławska. Kuba has incredible experiences with game development. So today we will chat about game development. But first, let's talk the cool stuff. Let's not nerd stuff. How is Madrid? How is everything?
Madrid is actually very, very cool. Expensive, but it's such a beautiful city. If I
For
had to
how
compare
many
to
months?
Wrocław, huh?
For how many months
Had to
you are
compare-
living in Madrid?
Right now, since March, so like half a year, more or less.
Man, you have plenty of experience.
Yeah, I do. I'm basically Madrileño right now, I know all the good spots.
Oh, nice. Que madrileño, eh?
Uh-huh. Yeah. So, like, if I had to describe Madrid, I would say if you go to the center of Wrocław, the prettiest part of Wrocław is whole Madrid, basically.
For real? Is that good?
It's amazing, really. Like the first time I came to Madrid, when I came back to Wrocław, I was like depressed. I was like,
What?
ooh.
Now I am
You know.
depressed, man. After seeing those mimics, now I am depressed. Yeah, and the weather and everything. But yeah, I love Wrocław, to be honest. I've been in Madrid, but last time I've been there, I didn't think it was that better compared to other European cities.
Mm-hmm.
Probably
I
weather
don't
is
know, like
much
it just
better.
blew me away.
That's what she said. Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah,
dude,
yeah.
my mom's gonna watch this.
Yeah, probably mine too. Yeah. All right, then let's after breaking those ice, let's move to the cool stuff, the game development. So you've been actually working as a game developer, right? For how long you've been working?
Yeah, professionally working 3 years, but my own things like 5-7 years, depends like what you
Nice,
count
5,
as
7
professional.
years. And were they
Yeah.
whole with 3D, with Unity?
Yes, I started my adventure with Unity when I was, I think, 13 or 14. So it was quite early.
But how did you do it, man? In 13, 14, I wasn't able to speak English.
Well, I guess I could, yeah. So the story is actually fascinating. We were coming back from a family trip by car, and me and my brother were sitting in a backseat. It was like a 4-hour car trip back. We were super bored. So we were just talking like, yeah, video games, blah, blah, blah. What if we made our own video game? So we took a
Really?
notepad and we started noting like things, what are we gonna make? For 4 hours in the car, we were just noting ideas, how we're gonna make the game, the character design, the animations and stuff like that. So first thing
With
we
your
did,
brother, right?
we came home, I opened, sorry?
With your brother, right?
Yes, with my brother.
Nice.
So we came back home, and first thing I do, I open my computer, how to make games. Because I imagine it's gonna be like, drag and drop, like take this, put here, add sword, add car, And I see programming, what is it? And basically that's how it started. I opened YouTube, opened Brackeys, and...
Man, you know what would be
like,
the best thing? Then if you would create Minecraft, like after that, but no such a thing happened.
Oh no, my first game was so far away from Minecraft, but we actually made a game. It's actually
Nice.
like, I have it.
Like, did
It
you
sucks,
actually put
but
it
it
to
is there.
production or something? Did you put to production or something?
Not to production, it's like somewhere on my hard drive stored, but we made it. And fun fact, so right after that, I got a job as a game developer, and my brother, who was making animations and characters for this game, right now he's a 3D animator.
Nice. It's
So
really opened some
basically
doors,
that one family trip started our careers.
Yeah, but then you actually. But did you take the job before going to university or after going to university?
And no, my first gaming job was after joining university.
Uh-huh. It's. I don't know what you think about it, but I find it pretty hard in Poland, at least, to find a job without a university degree. Each time when I look at those job boards, I see bachelor degree or equal required.
Yeah, and it's super annoying because they don't actually care about the degree. Like when you start working, then they don't care. But to hire you, they care. And
Yeah.
I guess it kind of creates this stupid loop where everyone has a degree, so the degree doesn't really matter because everyone has it.
Yeah, yeah. And it also simplifies the hiring process a lot, right? You're just cutting like phew, 30% of candidates. Like bam.
Exactly.
Yeah, and without checking. Yeah, obviously. And yeah, let's talk about your experiences actually. I never did a 3D game. I did some 2D games. You know right now what I'm doing? It's actually really pretty cool project. With Golang, I am making a terminal game. So console.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
So a
it's,
masochist, I see.
it's actually one of the most interesting projects I did. You have nothing, Kuba. They don't give you anything. The thing is, only thing you have in the library, by the way, library called T-Cell in Go language in GitHub. It's open source. And basically, only thing you got is you have a screen, and you can print one character in one X and Y location in terminal. That's all you have. So you create
Oh my
yourself a
God.
game loop. Yeah, for real. You create yourself a game loop that repeats constantly, maybe, I don't know, 60 frames per second. And then you update it actually. And you define characters and you've defined crashes. And I'm making right now a first person shooter. Basically,
Oh no.
for real. It's 2D, but you have one hero in the middle of the game, basically one hero emoji. But it can go in 4 direction, which means all directions in 2D. And it can actually throw some bombs around. If you click,
Okay.
it bomb goes to there. It's pretty crazy project because in terminal you cannot just draw one line. Basically, because everything is one character place. There are places in X and Y coordination in for characters. So it goes like you see cubicles.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's
calculating that exact cubes is super annoying.
exactly, and like I don't want to actually talk a lot about this project, but just one more thing. You know how I do it? How the bomb actually finds itself? Each second, actually, the bomb make a move. It calculates how many percent of X direction and Y direction is done, and I am checking which direction actually done less than the other. And if Y direction is done 5% and X direction done, I don't know, 7%, then it's time for the Y direction. And I am picking it like this. So actually the bullet finds its way. It's not
Ah,
pre-calculated.
that's very curious. Cool idea, yeah.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And about you, I
Wow.
want to hear about making a 3D game because I have no experience in that.
Making a 3D game. Honestly, I like it more than 2D. It's my main reason is you can have better graphic in 3D, but I don't mean like more resolution or more realistic. It's just easier because for 2D you need to draw everything, whereas
Yeah.
for 3D you can just have simple models, like adjust them way simpler. So visually it's way easier to make 3D games. And also for me it's easier to make them because I don't like limiting myself. And in 2D you only have the X and Y, but sometimes you need the Z to get a background, and it's like very cheeky, sneaky, no one knows how to actually do it. That's why I prefer 3D. It's less
Yeah.
limiting. And well,
Yeah,
Unity was made mostly Unity 3D, so it's easier for me to make 3D games. It's
Yeah,
good
but
for
for
2D,
example-
but I just prefer 3D.
Like I am someone that has no experiences in 3D game development. So let explain just to someone who has no idea about it, to 5 years old kid. Okay, I start game development. I just download Unity. What I'm doing now? Step by
Okay.
step.
Funny you say that. I was teaching Unity to, I think the
Wow.
youngest were like 11-year-olds.
We have a professional invitee right now. Damn,
Yeah,
Kuba,
yeah.
you have
That's how I
mic,
started my career in game
you have
development.
headphones, you are a teacher, kurde.
I am. I used to
Perfect guest, perfect guest.
be. That's how I got my first like job in Unity. I was actually teaching. Only then I started making games.
All right, so how I do
So
it?
first thing you do, if you want, Unreal is a bit easier in this case because in Unreal you press scene and you already have like 3D game with guns and everything. Unity is much more empty. You create, there is nothing. It's an empty space. And first thing I would just say is explain where's the camera and how to navigate actually in Unity, how to move your mouse and camera around, because that's always different
So,
in each 3D program.
How the screen is actually coming there? Like I opened the Unity and I create a new project. Do I have an empty screen, empty matrix?
Yes, you only get a horizon basically. There
Okay.
is a sky, which is like a bit bluer on top and grayer on bottom. And that's
And
all
is
you
it
have.
on code? Like can I see the code of it actually?
No, that's all like behind the scenes. Like the
In the
basic
framework.
code of your project, it's literally zero code, nothing there. You press play and you see like blank screen basically.
So if I want to make the screen burning with fire, so what do you do then?
Then you have to write some code. Like literally in Unity, there is zero things you can do without code. You need to always write some
I
code.
like it that way.
I mean, yeah, when starting, I think it's a bit easier to have some things made for you. But when you actually want to learn programming, it's very cool to have to program literally everything.
So let's say, for example, I have the screen, okay? And let's not go into the characters or anything. I want a beautiful mountain behind. And do I code it or how do I do it?
Okay, mountains are easier. Like changing the background colors or images are quite easier because you need to go to settings. And scene settings, you have like options to adjust the environment. So you can choose the color of the sun, the like brightness, and also you can choose the what's called a skybox.
Every scene has its own properties that we can change. And it's
Yes,
allowing us, for example, making everything gold. For example, there is a setting.
Exactly, yes.
You just pick gold and bam, everything becomes gold. But isn't it super limiting? Like it's allowing you only to do things that the framework allows you?
In Unity, no. The thing with Unity, it's all made in C#. All, not only the game, but also the tools, the windows you can see, everything. So what people do in Unity, it's some bigger companies, they basically code their own Unity. It looks completely different. You can modify literally everything if you want. You can
So it's an open
completely
source
remove
project?
physics. Sorry?
So it's an open source project. They are checking.
It's not open source, but it's very open for changes.
I get it. Changeable.
Yeah, they have a very good API and very good documentation for it.
Nice, nice. Really interesting. I didn't know that, by the way. And why C#? You know, I was always thinking about that because I know that Unreal Engine, biggest opponent of Unity, is actually C++. And it seems to me that the most important thing is efficiency in a game, optimization. And it seems to me like C++ or, I don't know, Rust, much more efficient than C#, isn't it?
Yeah, they are more efficient, but I was actually Googling that a lot. I was wondering why C#, why do people prefer C++, why do people prefer C#? The thing with C# is it's way easier. It's more intuitive to code in it and has less things that can cause you problems in the future. Yeah, it's less optimal, but the thing is, the whole core of Unity, the framework, it's in C++. Only the code that you add as a programmer is C#. So the actual performance, the physics, the graphics are coded in C++.
That explains a lot. Then, but isn't it super interesting that you have actually some C++ code that run just next to the C# code? Probably, I don't know, they are making some binaries and executing those binaries inside. I don't know. I'm not a system programmer.
I don't know if it's a library or just a DLL or something, but they have a special thing. It's called C# to C++, something like this. Like, and yeah, you can actually
C#
see
for
and
C++?
maybe decompile a
Damn.
bit of code that's C++.
Damn,
And
I had no idea about it. It surprised me a
yeah,
lot.
but your C# calls are going to C++. For example, the .transform call, if you do camera.transform, the transform is it's getting it from C++ and injecting into C#.
Wow. Man, it's really interesting. We are getting out of the topic, but it's really interesting that we are on top of the abstraction and we have no idea what's going on downside. You know? We just have those variables and stuff. What's going on down there? I have no idea. Yeah. When I was learning Rust, I actually find out that you can actually extend Node.js with Rust. So basically, in Rust, you can write C-compatible code. And you can actually make your code run in C, something like this. They are compatible. And there was actually a perfect blog post. I have no idea where it is right now. And no idea what was the name. But basically, the guys actually find a blocking problem in Node.js in one of the most basic operations. I don't know, maybe creating some variables or parsing JSON. I have no idea what was it. And they actually extended Node for that specific purpose. And they write Rust code to make that exact operation to fix the bottleneck. And it was solved. I found it incredible, actually. Some thanks stuff, man.
So
some
cool.
Google stuff.
Well,
Yeah.
in Unity, quite often we are doing the same thing. Like some Unity-given technology is not working, so we just override it or create our own, looking at the source code, copy everything, just change the few things that are not precisely for us. Happens quite.
But how do you know what you
sometimes.
can change? Well, how do you know that Unity does it that way and we can change this?
First of all, great documentation. And second of all, great community. Like that's, in my opinion, the biggest advantage of Unity compared to Unreal or Godot, that in Unity there is so much content on YouTube. And everywhere else.
It's really famous these days. Yeah. I see Unity everywhere. Unity games, indie developers, and there are incredible games, by the way. I am looking at especially those indie developers spending good time making good publications on Twitter. Sometimes I'm looking at some game logic, game physics. It blows my mind for you. There are so creative stuff in there. So yeah. And about the 3D game development, let's go back to the topic. Okay. Now I know. Now I know how can I make a mountain. Okay, I just go to settings and I just check the option, go down, pick the mountain. and
more or less.
And how do you do the sky? Just throw some flames to the people.
And that would be, I guess, the best option: particle effects. So Unity has a quite nice particle system, which is written, I believe, like. Sorry?
What is effects?
Effects. No, particle effects. Particle system. It's a way to have multiple, very small, basically a lot of pixels, which have a lot of cool effects, and are very, very optimized. So whenever you shoot a gun in a game and you see smoke, that's particle effects. Whenever there's an explosion, that's more likely than not a particle effect.
And who did the particle effect? Who did the particle effect? Unity?
They have a library for that. There is a lot of libraries, but the Unity one is the best.
So is it the community made or Unity made, those effects?
I cannot tell you. The thing about Unity, and that's actually very interesting, a lot of things are first community made and then Unity buys it from community. There's a lot of plugins that some developers make. The plugins get so popular that Unity buys them and makes their own.
Yeah, as far as I know, Apple also does that, right? For really good selling applications. In macOS, for example, they are just buying the company and the company right now works for Apple. Yeah, that's a really good idea, actually.
Well, I wouldn't say buying the company is a good practice, but yeah, it's similar. So coming back to particle effects and make fire. That is what looks complicated, but it's very easy because particle effects are part of Unity. So you have beautiful UI, you can adjust the sliders and modify it live and see how it looks for you.
So how do I do it? How do I use a library? Do I just drag and drop?
So first thing, you download some nice image, preferably PNG, of a fire from internet. Put it inside of your Unity project.
But
then
for real?
right-click.
Like a JPEG or 3D image?
Yeah. No, 2D. 2D
What?
sprite is very, very, very good for that.
But how is that? Because we want it to be 3D.
You see, that's the trick. Usually, particle effects are 2D, but they just face the camera all the time. For example, maybe in Minecraft, if you walk around, you can see the fire is always facing you, facing the camera, turning around. It's 2D, but because it's always looking straight at you, you can never tell.
What? Wow, that surprised me a lot. But
that's
I
how
also
you
saw
save a lot
some
of performance.
I also saw some games that maybe effect wasn't like this, but I definitely see some campfires 3D because I just jump over it.
Yeah. So that's particle effects with physics. Basically, there's like one little point that emits hundreds of particles per second. And you can program or even sometimes not program, just choose sliders for physics. You can give initial velocity, so they go like a bit around, and then give them negative gravity, so they go up. And that's how you create a fire. Like 1,000 particles going like this.
What?
For example, in Unity.
They are actually working in physics? I thought that you actually have this already compiled and you just drag and drop it to your project.
Nope. I mean, depends how optimized you want to have it, but like the prettiest ones are physics.
I thought that it's a 3D video actually.
The 3D videos don't exist. You can have an animation, but it never looks as good as real fire, real particle effects.
Interesting. And for example, I want to make such a particle effect, but you just explained, I believe. You just create, I believe, entities of particles. You just give them some attributes like whitish, yellowish color, and anti-gravity, and probably disappearing after some point.
Yes, disappearing after some point. You can even change colors based at some point. So, fire at the bottom is very orange. When it goes more up, it's more yellowish. So you can definitely make that without any coding. That's
without any coding?
Yeah, that's without any coding. You can do that just with the UI.
Wow, nice. And is it what game developers do?
A lot of times, yes. For me, it's a bit more boring part of the game developing. Making particle effects, making sure the lights look exactly the right way.
Yeah.
It's a big part of development, sadly,
more like
for me.
Like how many % of it is more this kind of design concerned, animation concerned?
Depends also on the size of the studio, because some studios have designed game designers who are the people who basically maintain particle effects or like lighting effects and stuff like that. But in smaller studios, it's the developers who do everything.
And I just remember that last time we talked in Wrocław in a cafe, you mentioned that you were actually working for a virtual environment game, right? Virtual reality game.
I was making a game in VR, yes.
That's so cool, man, for real. And like, what is the difference? How do you do it? What is the biggest difference with desktop games and that one?
Instantly testing. Testing is so much different. It's so weirder, yes. Because you have to put the headset every time to test,
Yeah, so you guys make integration test, I guess. You just enter the game, just jump, kill some ships, and close it, right? Oh man, you guys had the best test.
Yeah, my first week on the job, I was making a climbing system, which meant for a whole week, I was spending most of my day like this. Just grabbing my hands in the air. After a week.
Do you have to use your hands? Do you have to use your hands?
Yes, yeah. It's the only way to test if it's, because testing, you cannot unit test something like this. You need to test if you can actually reach, if it's comfortable, if it's fun player experience to climb this. That's something you cannot automate. You have to manually test it.
Yeah.
So my hands were so sore after 1 week of this. You cannot imagine. It's a huge workout testing VR games.
Yeah. And like after that, for example, let's go back to the topic of 3D game development. I add a character. How do I add a character?
Yeah.
And how do I make some cool tricks?
Okay. As a new developer, you're going to be stupid and you will try to program your own character. As an experienced developer, I can tell you, do not. Go to Unity Store, Unity Asset Store, search character movement, and choose the first library, put it in your project, it's gonna work. That's honestly the best option is to get the ready one.
Yeah, I get it. And how do you do it? Like I believe I saw a lot of T-positioned guys. So do you also buy them and add the characters into it, or do you do it yourself?
Myself, never. I'm a developer. Depends on the studio. Some studios buy the characters. Some studios get the free ones, the T-posing. The studios I worked at usually had dedicated graphic artists who were making the models.
Nice. Cool stuff. And those people probably make humans, objects, the characters, objects, etc.
Yeah. Basically, everything you see in the 3D game, everything you see in the world is made by some graphic artist in Blender or Maya, and every single detail is programmed by them. The most difficult part for... Sorry?
Or also both.
Yes. And the most difficult part for them is to make it not too realistic, is to make it look nice and be optimal. Because, so what I heard from my friends who work in it, it's very easy to make something look ultra realistic, but it's hard to make it optimal so the game actually can run it.
Because of, I guess, they called polygons? What was that? Those triangles.
Yeah.
So everything is basically a triangle, right?
Everything you see in the 3D game is a triangle. Unless you have a voxel game, then everything is a cube, but usually it's triangles. And the point is to have as little of triangles on the screen as possible, because the more you have, the more graphic card needs to render, the slower the game is.
Interesting. And what is this voxel game? This is the first time I'm hearing it.
Voxel games, for example, people put Minecraft as example of voxel game. It's a game in which pixels are also the game entities. So you don't have triangles, you don't have like a resolution per se. Every pixel is a playable entity which has physics, stuff like that.
Wow.
One of the recent games with voxels is, I think, I don't remember the name, but the game that you can destroy everything. It was very popular on YouTube.
Interesting.
I was trying to, really I'm making my own voxel engine. It's quite interesting to switch your thinking around a bit.
Wow, it's so crazy, man. And how can I do my own voxel engine?
As a new developer, you cannot. It's a bit advanced. There is a lot of algorithmic things.
No worries, I can do it.
If you're advanced, then first of all, algorithms. Like you have to be able to optimize everything, because in a voxel game, overall in a game, everything is a loop. But in a voxel, there is more loops. For each voxel, you have to iterate, check its surroundings, check how it affects other voxels, stuff like that. The good thing about voxels, the games are very optimized and they look very satisfying.
But, I heard that Minecraft was actually initially written in Java. And therefore, it could be played online previously. And that was a huge problem, this piracy problem in Minecraft. So, like, it seems to me like it doesn't require incredible, obviously, a running edge game probably requires some optimization, but just as a cool side project, I would actually be really interested in this. How do you make a screen, even?
Like, you mean in Java?
In
or overall?
Any programming language.
I never did that. Like, as similarly as you, the only thing like manually I made was a terminal game. I never got into 3D custom engines. I know how to make them. It's torture. Have you heard of 3DX
No, what is it?
or DirectX? Whenever
Not
you install like some older
DirectX.
game, maybe you see on your Windows installing DirectX 11 and stuff like that.
I guess I know DirectX. Isn't it the thing that last time macOS actually mentioned that they actually mentioned for the M2 silicon chips, they are going to add DirectX to play some old games. Is that thing?
Yes. So
Nice.
DirectX and OpenGL are basically like a libraries, you can say, that translate whatever you tell them to the operating system to display the things.
Wow.
They are like made to display 3D things. So you can basically code a circle or a sphere to appear on the screen.
And how can I talk with this DirectX? I'm running Go program or Node.js program. How can I talk with this DirectX?
Through a library. For sure, they are integrated in every single language because they are very, very common. Every single game engine is using some sort of this technology like this.
It looks like
I don't know the
library.
implementation. I never got into the details because it's torture. It's hell. It's impossible. Like people who do this are crazy, really.
Yeah.
I saw some projects like making my old custom engine from ground up. There is, if you are interested in that, the YouTuber Decherno is doing that.
Let me check
basically
that.
first 30 videos, and he just displayed text on screen in 30 videos.
And he's called Decherno?
Decherno. TheCherno.
I will share the screen and we will take a look. Can I share the screen here? Let me check. I'm not sure if Riverside will actually record this also. This is my screen. So let me make Control Shift and new incognito. And I want my privacy. Chair. Can you spell it?
I wrote it on chat.
Okay.
Here in the meeting.
I have no idea where is the chat. Script? Is it script? No, chat. I found it. So, everyone. Cherno Haskell engine. Man, it's Haskell?
No, it's not Haskell. It's the name of his engine. It's not Haskell. It's something similar to Haskell. I guess if you search, it's gonna show up.
Whoa, 175,000. Damn, the guy is popular.
No, it's not called Haskell. It's Hazel. Yeah, the Hazel engine. You can. Yeah, wow. He has like whole playlist making the engine from the ground up in C++, and you can see actually like how much goes into it.
Man, I just left YouTube Premium for a second and I hate it already. Man, I should cut these scenes from the podcast.
Oh, definitely.
Man, the second ad? What?
So if you search for like the Hazel engine playlist, he has like 120 videos.
Wow.
Explained pretty well in huge details.
Creating the rocket in Blender. Wow, this is just so beautiful that he explains. And this is C# as far as I see, right?
No, C++.
C++? Nice.
So he made his own engine and he made a game on a game jam in his own engine.
What?
That's such a flex.
In a game jam?
Yes. Yeah.
Man. You know, I would like to be apprentice of him, for real. Like,
you can be.
Actually,
like
I can be. He actually shows everything. Wow.
He shows everything from ground up. He has a GitHub repo with everything. It's actually amazing.
Information is so cheap these days that I can even say my own things to avoid work, you know?
Yeah. Actually, I was wondering, it's so crazy because I never took classes on making games.
Yes.
I took only YouTube. I never paid for Udemy, nothing. All free on YouTube or internet. And I'm making money on that. It's my job, you know. I basically got education for my job for free. That is crazy.
IT is incredible, man. IT is incredible, for real. I love it. Yeah, information is super cheap. Okay, I will close this screen sharing. I'm not sure if it's saved or something. Maybe just we saw. We will see. It doesn't matter.
Through
okay, you were
magic of
telling
editing.
actually. No, I will not edit that much. I don't like makeup. I will go raw. Yeah. And we talked about actually how to make persons. Now, one of the topics we didn't talk about. We will talk about these topics, but I'm just going with my own way. One thing I am super curious about game development, game servers,
Mm-hmm.
and
Okay.
yes, and I am having these days a crazy idea about making my terminal game multiplayer. I don't know if I go that wild. If I go, I would actually want to know how to do it because it seems to me like an incredible project. I know I've been a web developer since few years, and as far as I know, the fastest communication we can get was with WebSockets. But in school,
Mm-hmm.
I learned about UDP calls and TCP calls. I know that UDP is faster, that's why games are using it. So basically, my question is how to make a multiplayer game. I want to make a multiplayer game.
Um, Luckily, right now we live in 21st century. You don't need to use sockets or UDP. There are libraries
Real?
for that, obviously. Yeah.
Kuba, your all answers are there. Some people did that. Do not go crazy.
Yeah, if
Yeah.
I have to give one tip about programming is someone did it, search for it first. That's my number one
Yeah.
tip.
Just import library from the source.
But
Yeah.
it's not that easy.
Mm.
The biggest challenge, and if you search like Unity, networking, video games, how to make, is the lobby. First, you need to make the lobby. You have to connect somehow all of the IP addresses, get the
What's
instances
the
of the games to work to get correctly.
the game lobby, right? So basically, I create a graphical user interface for my terminal
Mhm.
app, and so when a person actually enters the game, I'm getting his IP address, her IP address, and it is sending this HTTP request to my server, right?
I'm not sure it's HTTP. I wouldn't say
Wow.
HTTP, but
Wow.
yeah.
What is it then?
And
UDP?
I cannot tell you. I would believe it's sockets. Sockets would be the easiest,
Pigeons?
I think, or UDP. I know for sure when programming a multiplayer game, you
Wow, you
need
did?
to. Yeah. The VR game I was making
Wow.
was multiplayer.
Cool.
And the worst part about it was self-hosted multiplayer. We do not have a server. One of the players had to be a server, which added so
What?
much complexity.
What is so interesting? But probably player has no idea that he is the server, right? Or she is.
Yeah, that's the purpose. Like you're supposed to program the game in a way that the players don't know that
What?
there is a
And
server there
is
or
it a
here.
common practice in games? Is it happen all the time?
Depends how much budget do you have, because it's definitely easier to have one dedicated server, but not every studio can afford hosting us servers.
But fine, man, it's not that expensive. Maybe you guys ask for really high RAM and CPU servers. In Amazon, I believe E2E servers are pretty cheap.
They are cheap, but also they aren't that fast. And making games is you have to have zero delays.
Yeah.
And also it is expensive in the end to maintain them. It depends on how many players. It might get expensive, hard to control costs. It's cheaper always to have self-hosting.
So, okay, I'm in the lobby. I collect, let's say my game, okay? Because I don't want to go that crazy. There are two players that can meet
Yeah.
and play against each other. And basically, two players entered right now. And they entered my lobby, but because I don't use any game engine, probably it will be much harder for me. I need to somehow write myself my lobby. I got the IPs. Then what?
Then what? Then you can basically start sending requests.
So in
It's
each
easiest to have a server.
Okay. And I
So
have a
if you have a server, then server can manage everything, receive, send, and organize. If you don't have a server, then the most proper way would be to choose a master player, the one who controls the state, and if there is any conflict, always the master state is chosen. So
interesting.
yeah, And basically, it's kind of like HTTP. You just send a request with some state. The game interprets this state, displays things on screen. Player presses a button, that gets compiled into a state. You send that state to another player.
But you guys don't use like normal HTTP requests, right? Not post put, any kind of
No. But basically, it's it's all done in the background. What we do, we have access to things like network update. So every sometime there is a network update, ping, sending information. We have access to synchronized variables. We can force to send some information there and back, and that's all.
So interesting.
So it's basically like an API for some internet activity, for some networking.
So this library actually provide you time to time the updates, and when this occurs, you fetching both the data of the variables in the game, of the player 1 and player 2, and based on that you are resolving the conflicts. And for example, I'm the player 2 and master is player 1. Suddenly I see that I'm dead. Yeah. Okay, really interesting.
The most complicated part is when master disconnects, because suddenly all of this synchronized data, you lose it, and somehow you have to not crash the game. We had a huge problem in our project with AI, because whenever master would disconnect, all of the
It's okay. I can cut it in the edit. Talking log is a hard job, huh?
All of these YouTubers playing games for a living, talking for hours.
For real, yeah?
Yeah.
You were talking about the AI problem you had in your multiplayer game.
Yeah. So whenever a master would disconnect from the game, the master was the one who controlled all of the AI behavior. So all of the AI would completely lose what was happening and synchronize. So one client would see zombie in one place, other client would see zombie in other place, and it was very hard to manage. That's why having a dedicated server, which is always up, is way easier.
So can't you just serialize the state of these AIs and put to the new host?
It's not as easy as it sounds, but yeah, that's basically what we are doing. But you cannot do that because when the master player crashes, his code stops executing. You cannot, gracefully shut down if your computer turns off.
Oh yeah,
or stuff like that.
Oh yeah. Man, I hate it. Those unexpected closes, and you have no time to do anything because program is closing. You have no time, and you cannot just stop executing it. Yeah, because the guy is control C really fast.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
that's why I gained a lot of respect to multiplayer games that are smooth. Because I don't know, when I was younger, I was like, "Oh my god, why did this game crash? Why it disconnected us from the lobby? It's so easy to switch." It's not. It's hell on earth.
Man, you know what? Until I actually start making a library, I was always saying, "What a shitty library! This doesn't work. That doesn't work. It's not. I cannot use it with the new Node.js version." When I start doing it, wow, respect for it. It's so hard to make a software that makes life of other software developers easier. It's so hard. You're in really weird position in abstraction. In one case, you are communicating with the unknown, maybe operating system, I don't know what. On the other case, you are communicating with applications. You are not writing the application, you are communicating with it. I have huge respect for a lot of software projects actually. The games, libraries, web applications, mobile applications, all of them are pretty cool.
Well, on one hand, I have a lot of respect, but on the other hand, right now I can play some game and say, I would have made it better.
Yeah. I remember in our studies, we never had a complete game development, but I remember I installed Unity once. Was that a part of our lessons or did I do it for fun?
I don't think so. I know a few people who studied their master and they had a game development course when they actually had to make a game, which was cool. But for us, I don't think we had a full the game development course.
What do you think? Is it a good idea to make masters to learn game development?
Yes, 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 yes,
Really?
100%
I
yes.
wasn't expecting that. I thought that you would go with, no, just go to YouTube.
No.
No?
Why? All of the course of our programming, we've never made an actual application which we can see and use. It's usually just press enter and see log output in console. But with game, it's actually a product that you can see, interact, has colors, has bugs that you can visually see. It's not only red error. It's actually your character going under the floor or doing something you didn't program. So it's a first option you can have, easiest option I think, to visualize the things you are making, that they are actually there. It's not only output in terminal.
Yeah, I totally agree that you should actually make a game and have some hands-on practice. But I'm thinking that shouldn't you do it in your free time? Because I have actually a few friends here who studied game development. It's a bachelor degree in Poland. I believe in many countries. They were really not satisfied with the program they had. So I have no idea. It totally depends on educational institution, I guess. But yeah.
I mean, yeah, the whole 2 years of making games, I don't think so. But like one class, one semester is very cool because it also forces you to finish the game. The biggest problem with game development, like hobbyists, is people never finish their games. I'm also very guilty of that. I have like seven open games which I started, never finished. But if you actually have this deadline, in half a year, you need to give me a finished game. It helps a lot because you manage your expectations, you make a bit less, but you need to finish, which motivates you for the future.
Definitely. All right, get back to the topic. So you actually just started a team that I was really curious about also. The AI, man, the AI in games. It became so common that we don't even think about it. Like some of the players just walking next to us are not human. They are just some bots written in somewhere and executing the commands based on their algorithm. Probably it's not based on their algorithm, based on their model, right? AI model. So how do I do it? It's incredible actually. In Call of Duty, for example, how can I create the bot?
Let's start with AI in games. It's not AI. It's not the artificial intelligence.
What?
It's not neural networks. It's not deep learning. It's just a complicated state machine with a lot of ifs inside. It's it's all pre-designed. There's never a random behavior.
Well, it surprised me a lot. But why did they say AI then?
Sounds cool.
Yeah, that sells.
Okay, because like realistically, AI models, they take forever to render one thing. So imagine having game running 60 frames per second with 10 AI models trying to calculate every frame their next movement. It's impossible with neural networks, deep learning.
Is it really takes that long? Because I know that there are some AI models in some actually really famous games. I believe I know that in Dota 2 there is a group of actually AI players which won maybe world championship. Maybe I'm bullshitting a lot, but there is this team that there are actually AI players that won critical prizes. So I don't think that when you develop the model, I don't think that it takes a lot of time to make a decision. I believe it's until you develop the model, it takes a lot of time.
Yes and no. Most games, I can tell you from experience, don't have real AI. What you said, the Dota, first of all, Dota only has like 10 players at the same time, so 10 entities you have to control. It's not that much. And also, when you're in an AI competition, you have a crazy expensive machine which can do a lot of things. When you make a real game, you plan it, for example, for mobile device. You know, a phone cannot do a lot of complicated AI computations and do it 60 times per second, you know.
Yeah.
So most models are just state machines.
Wow.
Which usually is very good enough.
Yeah, but so you guys, I believe, add some sort of randomness because they don't just go and shoot people, you know? They miss,
Oh, yeah.
they act like they are making mistakes.
Yeah, the simplest way to make it look more realistic is add randomness, both in behavior and, for example, in accuracy. You have like 70% chance to hit or to not hit. And those variables are usually adjusted by game designers, but they see like if the game is too easy or too hard, they change the things.
Who is a game designer?
But yeah, game designer is a person who sits mostly in Excel sheets. So they have an Excel opened with statistics of the game. I'm not kidding. They have Excel open with statistics of the game and adjust like, okay, so if this value is gonna be 17, then player's gonna run this distance in this much time, so we should reduce that.
I didn't know that there are
that.
persons actually gain money from it. I thought that some managers are probably handling those stuff.
Depends on the game, but usually, for example, roguelikes, it's all Excel.
Wow, really, really interesting. And for example, let's say I'm really good at handling the numbers. How can I find the job? How do you become a game designer?
Most of game designers I know are just people who love video games. Like, because to be a game designer, you need to know and play and really be deep into video games to know what works, what doesn't work. So I would say that's the only field of making video games in which you actually have to play a lot.
But for example, how okay, I play a lot of games, so companies will hire me? I don't think so.
Quite possibly, yes. You can just, it would be nice to have like a proof of your work, not a game, but a document, for example, when you design your own game as a document. Because what game designers do is document all of the game. They create the features, they document how everything should work, how everything should interact with each other. They are the ones who actually come up with the idea. Programmers just implement it. So if you are creative, if you play a lot of games and you know how things should work, you can get the job.
It's product owner version of game development, right?
100% yes, 100%.
Yeah. I also don't know how people are becoming product owner actually. I will have a guest, hopefully, product owner. I will ask him. I have no idea. Yeah. So actually AI response really surprised me, to be honest. I wasn't expecting that. And
you know what also why? It's very hard to have to predict what actual self-learning AI would do. And you could have a lot of bugs and behaviors which you cannot explain and glitches which are annoying and impossible to fix because in the AI model does what it wants. You have a state machine, you can always adjust it, reprogram it, force it to do different things. With AI models, it's a bit different. You never understand really why they did the thing they did.
Yeah, but you know what is really cool? I was like, when I was a student in Wrocław University of Science and Technology, I was taking a look at some videos in YouTube, actually reinforcement learning. So basically they are putting an agent to a scene and it is by doing like holding objects or making some moves, learning this stuff. I was thinking myself, damn, it's the coolest thing possible, right? And I thought that actually most of the game developers does that. But yeah, probably that's not the case.
Not
so
really,
basically,
no. Also what you usually don't see in the videos about AI in games and like the models learning how to move boxes, it takes hours or days of running the simulation non-stop for them to learn.
But you know, they are making some parallel time. So they are making maybe 1,000 agents learn at the same time. But obviously that require more GPU probably.
Yeah. If you into that, there is a channel called Bullet on YouTube. He makes a lot of AIs in Unity.
Yes, I saw that. That guy is incredible. That guy.
He's great.
He seems like repeating himself, right? At first I found him like incredible and he's basically making the same trick to different games, it seems to me. Basically there is an agent, there are thousands of versions of him, and it's called, I believe, evolutionary reinforcement learning. Basically there are 1 million of them.
That.
Yes, in every loop, the lowest pointing 99% dies, and basically so-called artificial genes of that 1% continues. Basically this neural network state of that 1% just goes to the next step, and a lot of random behavior finally acts like actually a rational being, right?
Yeah. It's very fun, like to watch multiple of these videos and see the formula. It seems so easy, like
Yeah.
when you explain it.
Yeah. Back then when I was doing, I was thinking that a normal developer can do it like this. Like, everything a little bit, but no, that guy specialized himself in that exact field. Yeah, really interesting. And let's get back to the topic. You worked with Unity, and these days there was a big crisis with Unity. What is that?
Oh, okay, that's a delicate topic. So basically,
I don't want you to go into trouble. Kuba, don't say everything.
nah, I didn't. Uh, Basically, Unity needed to make more money because their stocks and their profits were quite low, so they made a very stupid decision to change their license backwards and charge people for install. So the
Backwards?
developer of the game has to pay 20 cents for each install of the game.
So in 1,000 installs, how much it makes? $200?
$20, I think, yeah.
$20, yeah.
So it doesn't
Yes.
seem that terrible, I guess, because yeah, you can make money. But imagine, for example, the mobile free games. They have hundreds of millions of downloads, and they are free. So suddenly, developer like this is losing like $2 million with no profit. That's
The thing I didn't
crazy.
understand is how they made it backwards, because don't they have to make a new contract with that developer, with their license?
Technically, yes, but they did it. Like the license is theirs. They control it. It's not a government. It's a private company, and they can do whatever. You don't sign an agreement with Unity. You use their product, and on their conditions, they can do whatever they want. I mean, they shouldn't. That's what they try to do.
Yeah, but it's really, really interesting. So you don't support this, but isn't it crazy that Unity doesn't make money? Like, I see that it's on top. Like, there is a monopoly of two players. I don't think Godot is actually that much of a big player right now. Unreal Engine, Unity, and if it doesn't make money, what company does for real?
I mean, they do make money. They make billions. But also they have a lot of employees.
Oh.
The biggest thing about Unity, it's free. And for the most part, it's free, and most of the indie games don't make enough money for Unity to charge them. Because the agreement is that more or less until you earn $200,000, you don't pay nothing to Unity.
Wow.
So
Yeah, but
they
it's a
maintain
pretty
an
good
engine.
strategy. This podcast is also
Yes.
free. So you first get some people, then you just start to charge them. If or maybe you start to get some ads, and it continues like this. You try
but
to get the
basically,
market first.
that's what I do, yeah. So if a game gets super popular, then it has to start paying to Unity. Otherwise, it doesn't. But you can see how is it kind of risky business model. They have plenty of developers working, making Unity better, more optimized, perfect, but no guaranteed profit. So they wanted more.
Yeah,
And they failed miserably.
Just out of curiosity, is a normal freelancer that doesn't reach this limit, $200,000, does his product actually cost something to Unity? Is there a subscription that, like, for example, does it use Unity servers? Is there a cost for him to Unity?
I mean, besides, I guess, like the typical account informations, stuff like that, there is no real cost to Unity. I guess, no, that's on Pro version. No, on the free version, you don't generate Unity any costs.
Yeah, interesting. And how the things working in Unreal Engine?
It's quite similar, actually. I mean, it's similar in a way that also you don't pay nothing to Unreal until your game makes some amount of money. It's, I think, also somewhere 200,000. But Unreal, I believe, has way higher fees than Unity.
Uh-huh.
Unreal
After
charges more.
200,000.
Yes.
It
yes.
has way
So
higher.
first it's free, then it charges more.
Interesting. Really interesting.
Additional
So,
thing how they earn money is they have a pro version. So you get a bit of support, you get some build on Unity servers, build time, and
uh-huh.
other like cool things, and you pay monthly subscription. It's actually pretty
Uh-huh.
expensive for a company to pay subscriptions per developer.
Wow. I get it. I get it. Yeah, really interesting. So I believe people like in such conditions, people should move to the other player, right? To the Unreal Engine. Is there a move from Unity to Unreal Engine in the developer
Yes,
side?
I don't know if it's for real or for not, but if you check on Reddit, on the forums, on Discords,
Rage
a lot of
quits.
people are running away from. Yes, rage quits, and not only rage quits, but also people are scared, because imagine you're a company making a game for 4 years, and suddenly Unity changes the pricing, and you calculate you're gonna lose all of your money. You have zero profits. You know, it's terrible, because the thing about video games, you create them for 4 years. 5 years, the bigger games. So it's a huge investment of time also and money.
Yeah.
And if suddenly something like this happens, because they changed the pricing once, who's gonna stop them from doing that in the future? That's why people are running away to Godot or to Unreal.
And you are locked, when you do it, like when you actually build a product for last 5 years, and it's not a big amount of time for a game to be built in 5 years, being developed in 5 years. And you are locked. I mean, in the 6th year, you will go to the Unreal Engine. That's not going to happen.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
like at some point it's impossible to switch the engine.
Yeah. But I believe Unity has some sort of monopoly in mobile games, right? I believe Unreal Engine do not provide such an option to make a mobile game.
Right now, everyone provides option to make mobile game, but
What?
it's true
I
that
didn't know that.
Unity has the monopoly in a way. It's most popular and has the biggest support for mobile games. Like for example, Unity has like integrated ad systems for mobile games. They have frameworks to work straight on Android. Super powerful debugging tools. You can basically test your game remotely on your phone, not even connecting to the laptop, the PC you're working.
Nice. Really good. And finally, this Godot. I don't see that a real, like, let's say, triple A game developers do not take it really seriously, this Godot. What is it?
It's just another game engine.
Yeah, but why it's the new player like? What the deal with it?
It is open source, which means people can modify it and add the things they need, and also means that no company can ever charge for it. It's always free, which is good for big developers, because instead of paying 10% fee to Unity or to Unreal, you can have your free game on Godot engine and never pay any fees. I like it. I actually started, after all of the Unity scandal, I switched to Godot for a second to check how is it. Yeah, I made a small game in it.
And it's in which programming language you are actually writing?
C#.
C# always, huh?
Yeah, always.
I don't know. It seems to me like they made this move to get some developers from Unity, or I have no idea.
I mean, of course, like Godot wants to have the most developers possible because it's open source. So the more people support it, both financially but also with code, the better for them.
Huh. I believe they also have such a contract, right? After it reaches to a limit, then no, nothing.
No, Godot doesn't have a license. It's maintained by some company, I believe, but Godot organization, something like that. But it's not owned by any corporation. It's completely open source, free.
Why isn't it like Linux? Because when Linux first arrives, people just get away from the Unix and go with this free tool. But in Godot, I don't think a lot of people using it, right? In game development.
It is very
community.
popular. A lot of big games are made in Godot. The recent, I guess, the biggest that I know of is Brotato. I know if you heard, it's a roguelike, very very popular.
Brotato? I never heard that.
And it looks stupid, but it's an amazing game.
What?
And
It looks so cool.
it's
It's,
amazing.
I believe, kind of like 2D. I believe it's a 2D game.
It is 2D, yeah.
Looks really cool. There is a potato that kills everyone, I guess.
Basically, yeah. Very easily
Nice.
use.
Nice. I like potatoes. I'm considering right now you buying this game.
And I cannot tell you why Godot isn't more popular because it's good. It's good, but it's true. It's a bit less performant than Unity or Unreal. So to make to have good graphics, it's way harder to achieve in Godot than in Unreal or Unity.
I get it. Yeah. All right. Then we just finished 1 hour and 5 minutes of talk, but maybe it's shorter for the listeners because I'm planning on cutting some stuff. Yeah. But it was an amazing talk, Kuba, for real. I've been so impressed by the skills you have and the things you know, and I learned a lot actually about this, especially about
great.
the AI and the server stuff. Like I was always curious about how the fuck it works. Yeah, that's how it works. All right.
Yeah,
then,
it's both easier and harder than it sounds.
Yeah. All right, then. See you on the next one. Thank you, Kuba, for being with us.
See you. Thank you for having me. Bye bye.
Bye.